Catherine Gannon presenting to you Backwoods News on Channel 7. Today we have 5 major topics around the world to tell you. First, 780 miles away, there is a medical marijuana case dealing with a 3-year-old boy. Sierra Riddle, the mother of Landon Riddle, came from Utah to Colorado, where medical marijuana was legal due to cancer treatment that was very needed. One day, Landon woke up and had a sore throat and swollen lymph nodes. When his mother took him to the doctors, it turned out much worse than expected. Landon developed acute lymphotic leukemia, known as ALL, which is a cancer to the blood and bone marrow. Landon was started on chemo, and the doctors said he had less than an 8% chance to live, which is about 24 to 48 hours. The only option they could take after hearing this was to try medical marijuana to stop the cancer and to send it into remission. So Sierra packed up their clothes and moved to Colorado, where medical marijuana was legal. More than 95% of children that develop this type of cancer survive sending the cancer into remission with the existing therapy taken. Now Sierra has seen the power of this cannabis oil and the positive effects it has on her son, so she wants to stop the chemo and remain giving Landon cannabis oil, because the chemo is too unhealthy for Landon. Doctors found that this would harm the child, and the protective services got involved. The doctors said that Landon needs to remain on chemo, otherwise his cancer might come back for good. A lawsuit was started because Sierra wanted what was best for her son. Sierra fought in this court case for Landon, but as what came out was that Landon must receive chemo once a month. It has been 9 months since Landon has been taking chemo once a month and cannabis oil, and his cancer still remains in remission. Next, we have Yellowstone National Park. 223 miles away, we are faced with volcanic activity. Lately, in Yellowstone, larger earthquakes have been recorded. The largest earthquake of the bunch has had a 4.8 magnitude. There are approximately 3,000 earthquakes at Yellowstone every year, but this supervolcano has sparked interest in so many people that it is now an activity that many are following. The Yellowstone volcano stretches 30 miles wide in the park that has 3,472 square miles across 3 states. Recently, there has been videos recorded that have shown animals, especially bison, behaving abnormal. This has caused many people to This has caused many people to have superstition and to come to think that this is because of volcanic activity. This 4.8 magnitude earthquake reached a few towns, but it didn't harm anyone seriously. The supervolcano's most cataclysmic eruption occurred 2 million years ago. It has been assumed to erupt within thousands of years. The volcano erupts with a near-clockwork cycle of every 6,000 years, according to one article. The last eruption was more than 640,000 years ago. So as you see, people are faced with questions. Is the Yellowstone supervolcano overdue for exploding? Truth is, we are, but scientists that work daily on observing the volcano estimate it won't blow for thousands of years. This is what gets people on the edge of their chairs, because if it were to explode again, so many things could occur. Speculation and superstition are the key factors that will always make people want to know more about this volcano's activities. But the truth is that no one can accurately suggest or predict when it will blow due to the volcano's erratic nature. Next, we have 893 miles away, a rancher takes a stance against feds. The BLM is trying to take Cliven Bundy's land from him until he pays up to $1 million in fees. Cliven Bundy has land problems with the BLM and the Forest Service in Nevada for over 20 years. Since the beginning of April this year, Bundy has prepared himself for war with the BLM, who plan to take all of his cattle if he doesn't pay up on the land fees. Bundy was too poor to buy land back around 1980 when he first gathered some grazing cattle when he needed some land. Throughout his whole time, he has paid little or no fees on his land. Bundy's whole family and several others around the states of Nevada came in to help out on his ranch against the feds. One of the Bundy's sons was arrested for fighting with the feds and eventually was arrested, then released the following day. Another one of Bundy's sons was tasered after kicking a police dog. Aggression has taken place. Wildlife got into this case because there is a desert tortoise that is on the endangered list that lives on Bundy's land. Bundy's cattle on the desert land would... No, we're starting over. I already screwed up the volcano one so many fucking times. You stand there the whole time, just love listening to your sister. Screw up.
Alright, Lawrence. You're doing this time
No,
because
I got homework.
This is Catherine Gunner presenting to you Backwoods News on Channel 7. Today we have 5 major topics around the world to tell you. First off, 780 miles away, there is a medical marijuana case dealing with a 3-year-old boy. Sierra Riddle, the mother of Landon Riddle, came from Utah to Colorado where medical marijuana was legal due to cancer treatment that was very needed. One day Landon had a sore throat and swollen lymph nodes. When his mother took him to the doctors, it turned out much worse than expected. Landon developed acute lymphotic leukemia, known as ALL, which is a cancer to the blood and bone marrow. Landon was started on chemo, and the doctor said he had about an 8% chance to live, which is about 24 to 48 hours. The only option they could take after hearing this was to try medical marijuana to stop the cancer and to send it into remission. So Sierra packed up their clothes and moved to Colorado, where marijuana was legal. More than 95% of children that develop this type of cancer survive, sending the cancer into remission with the existing therapy. Now Sierra has seen the power of this cannabis oil and the positive effects it has on her son, and she wants to stop the chemo and remain giving Landon the cannabis oil because the chemo is too unhealthy for Landon. Doctors found that this would harm the child, and protective services got involved. The doctor said that Landon needs to remain on chemo, otherwise his cancer might come back for good. A lawsuit was started because Sierra wanted the best for her son. Sierra fought in the court case for Landon, but as what came out was that Landon must receive chemo once a month. It has been 9 months since Landon has been taking chemo once a month and cannabis oil, and his cancer still remains in remission. Next, we have Yellowstone National Park, 223 miles away, where we are faced with volcanic activity. Lately in Yellowstone, larger earthquakes have been recorded. The largest earthquake of the bunch was a 4.8. There are approximately 3,000 earthquakes of Yellowstone every year, but this supervolcano has sparked interest in so many people. That is now an activity that many are following. The Yellowstone volcano stretches about 30 miles wide in the park that has 3,472 square miles across 3 states. Recently, there has been videos recorded that have shown animals, especially bison, behaving abnormal. This has caused many people to have superstition and to come to think that this is because of volcanic activity. This 4.8 earthquake reached a few towns, but didn't harm anyone seriously. The supervolcano's most cataclysmic eruption occurred 2 million years ago and has been assumed to erupt within thousands of years. Volcano erupts within a near clockwork cycle of every 600,000 years, according to one article. The last eruption was more than 640,000 years ago. So as you see, people are faced with questions. Is the Yellowstone supervolcano overdue for exploding? Truth is that we are, but scientists that work daily on observing the volcano estimate it won't blow for thousands of years. This is what gets people on the edge of their chairs, because if it were to explode again, so many things could occur. Speculation and superstition are the key factors that will always make people want to know more about this volcano's activities. But the truth is that no one can accurately suggest or predict when it will blow due to the volcano's erratic nature. Next, we have 893 miles away, a rancher takes a stance against feds. The BLM is trying to take Cliven Bundy's cattle if not paid up to $1 million in fees. Cliven Bundy has land problems with the BLM and the Forest Service in Nevada for over 20 years. Since the beginning of April this year, Bundy has prepared himself for war with the BLM, who plans to take all of his cattle if he doesn't pay up all the land fees. Throughout this whole time, he has paid little or no fees on his land, Bundy's whole family and several others around other states came in to help out on his ranch. One of Bundy's sons was arrested for fighting with the feds and eventually was arrested and then released the following day. Another one of Bundy's sons was tasered after kicking a police dog. Aggression has taken place. Wildlife got into this case because there is a desert tortoise that is on the endangerment list that lives on Bundy's land. Bundy's cattle on desert land would kill off the remaining environment, says one of these articles. Bundy tried telling the feds that the tortoise eat cow manure, so the cows wouldn't be harming them but benefiting them. The feds hired people to start gathering some of Bundy's cattle, but that was put to a stop, for the safety of the employees was questionable. The feds and wildlife management people have backed off for now because they want to find a more peaceful and a more efficient way by taking care of business without bloodshed. Next, we have 2,000 miles away. The State Department misplaced $6 billion under Hillary Clinton. Around March 4th through April 4th, the State Department's inspector found that there was a misplacement of $6 billion due to the improper filing of contracts, mainly during Hillary's tenure, which was about 6 years long. The misplacement of $6 billion creates a financial risk and shows the lack of internal control within the department's contract actions. According to the alert, which first showed that the department could be exposed to financial losses because the money was misplaced, shows that more than $6 billion have been lost due to incomplete files and or lost files. 33 of the department's lost files accounted for $2.1 billion. Should Hillary be blamed for the State Department's losses in the 6 years she was in charge of? What actions will we see being taken to find the lost money from these files? These kinds of losses create conditions conducive to fraud, as corrupt individuals may attempt to conceal evidence of illicit behavior by omitting key documents from the contract file, says Adam Credo. Lastly, today on Backwoods News, we have U.S. troops in Poland, 4,983 miles east. Poland, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania will receive 150 troops each of the 600 paratroopers from the U.S. Army, Europe's 173rd Infantry Brigade Combat Team Airborne, which is based in Vicenza, Italy. Troops were sent over to make sure that Russia doesn't press further and try to take over the other small cities, such as the main ones that the troops are in right now. The U.S. wants to ease tensions with Russia and pro-Russian separatists in eastern Ukraine because we are allied with most of Europe and the U.S. takes issues like this very seriously. Pentagon Press Secretary, Rear Administrative John Kirby told reporters that we are looking at trying to keep this rotational presence persistent throughout the rest of the year of 2014 because the pro-Russian demonstrators aren't showing that they are backing down from the government buildings they took over in Crimea. Recently, 3 people were killed in a shootout at the checkpoint that was manned by pro-Russian troops. The U.S. has asserted that some are Russian Special Operations Forces. I'll be sure to fill you in on the current changes and activities on these events next week on Monday News at 7. That sums it up for Backwoods News with Catherine Gannon. Have a wonderful rest of the day.